Task 3 is a tie on a pass, and so for this exercise we've got this knot tying board. We've got one of these large rubber tubing segments cut, and we've got a 2mm target line that is inscribed on this tubing. So the first step will be is to use a 2/0 silk tie, and we'll load the end of this tie on a hemostat as shown here. Ideally you want that coming straight off of the end of the clamp so that it's easy to pass. We'll have that ready, and then we'll use this right angle clamp to actually clamp across the black segment, the target line, and we'll leave about 1 millimeter of target line exposed as shown here. Now for this exercise you will need either a proctor or an assistant, whether you're in an assessment mode or in a practice mode, such that the assistant can hold the right angle clamp. And for this particular exercise we want to hold the right angle clamp at about a 45-degree angle such that I can easily see the edge of the clamp and the target zone as shown here. The time will start when I'm ready, and then the next step is to pass the clamp around the tubing, and then to start forming your first knot. Make sure that the assistant holds the clamp such that it is easy for you to see the black target line as shown here. And then we want to tie that first knot down. When I'm holding tension I will use the request off, and that lets my assistant know to take the clamp off, and then I will tie down 2 additional square knots as shown here, and then the time stops. We will assess this exercise by looking very closely at this ligature, and we want the entire ligature to lie within the black target zone, which is again about a 2mm distance. And we can look circumferentially. We can flip this to the other side, and I'm pretty close to the edge on one of these aspects, but it is in fact within the colored target line. We also assessed any gap type of an error, and there is really no gap as the ligature was squeezed down very tight on the rubber tubing and in fact indents it. We can cut our tails to a short distance as shown here, and then we can slide these relatively pointy scissors underneath and assess for knot security errors. And as you can see, the 2 tails that I cut remained equidistant from the knot remained intact, and the suture strand itself broke, indicating that we have a secure knot with no penalties assessed. We'll do another repetition of this task, and again I have the silk tie at the tip of the hemostat. I will pass my clamp around. My assistant is holding the right angle clamp, and I will tie down a knot, make sure that it's up snugly against the clamp, off, and then tie down a second and a third square knot, and then we can look and assess performance. We'll now show some pitfalls to avoid. Certainly you need to take care in learning how to pass that clamp effectively and then releasing the clamp from the ligature. You want to tie down this first knot in a square fashion, and as you do you want to pull this up against the clamp. If you leave it down somewhere in a suboptimal position like this, off, and leave it below the target line, it's pretty clear to see that you'll have about a 5mm gap error. Also, if you don't tie these second and third throws down square or snug down your knots appropriately, you will wind up having an insecure knot as a result, and or a gap error, as can be seen in this stitch. We'll cut our tails to even lengths and then slide these scissors in below the ligature, and you can see that that one slides quite a bit, and that would be an insecure knot with slippage.